How about now? Good Lord. Okay. I think I figured it out. Do we have anything? Do we have anything? Hang on. How about now? Now, maybe, perhaps. Yay. It was a setting inside. There it is. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. We're going to bring Kacey White in a second because it was one setting for the today and tomorrow. Yeah, Dallas probably not a bad idea. So why don't we do this? So that way we can figure this out. So how about now? All right. So, welcome to me not being able to hear or figure out the new audio system. All right. Uh, let me explain. Next couple days, today and tomorrow, it is me here, and the boss wanted to have another day or so before everything broke loose. And it was, I am in the workout room, as it says right there, the workout room of a friend and some married friends of ours here in Topsail Beach, or sorry, Topsail, North Carolina. And so I am here because it's somewhat hermetically sealed. They don't have to hear me. And yes, it is a water heater. So water heater, workout stuff, all here for the next couple days, today and tomorrow. Then everything's normal back on the other side. Okay. Wasting no time considering I wasted all the damn time in the world. All right. So here we go. Kacey White is coming in. So much for the opening monologue. The opening monologue was me trying to figure out one setting on the damn setup. So we're going to bring Kacey in and we're going to talk stuff. Kacey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Good job.
Okay, so I'm a technological illiterate, and I know that you've probably figured that out by now. So literally, it was one switch inside the settings of this particular thing, and that's how people could hear me versus not. The reason we have you with us, and this is an open invitation. We can have, if you wish. Well, first off, what part of the planet are you on?
I'm home actually, so that's really nice. I've been on the road for 11 days. Got back Sunday night, so finally settled in a little bit.
So I propose this to you, Case. So we could have Case in the space. We could have KCD where you be, or whatever title you want.
I like that.
If you want to bat lead off, because business is picking up for you over the next little while, whether it's MLS, NWSL, and especially the college game that's picking in, Tuesday can be your day. You tell me what time, and we can start this regular-ish segment, except for when you're in an airport, which might be even funnier.
That would be interesting, but I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'd love to take you up on that offer.
Good. Sounds like a deal. All right. So the reason we have you here this morning, I don't have an end table, and so that's why I dropped out of frame with the drink. We got to talk Major League Soccer. We got to talk NWSL. And one of the big reasons we have you in this time is because of the college game. And I wanted to have you talk about the first match that you're going to be a part of with the new package where the four-letter network is blowing up all of their coverage, where you are going to be, I think, are you going to be at the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus, or are you going to be in the blessed city of Tallahassee?
The blessed city of Tallahassee, when you put it that way.
Well, class of 19 something. So yeah, I mean, so that's why I say that. Those dirty lying cheating Gators are going up against Florida State, and that's going to be your first matchup of the season on the college side. But I want to build to that because, as an alum at Florida State University and being a legacy, I feel like we have to have a build. Okay. Major League Soccer on the weekend, you and Evan Weston got to catch up with Colorado, and I know a lot of folks were kind of keeping an eye on our footprint on Noah Cobb and his match, working out at the back line with Colorado. You can't have DMs apparently in Colorado anymore, with Georgi Mihailovic now being in Toronto, so he has slipped out of his own DM in Colorado. The takeaways, I did not have Darren Yappy on my bingo card. I did not. So the takeaways of Minnesota and Colorado, now that you've had a couple days to digest it.
Well, it was really interesting to see a lot of those individual pieces that you're talking about. Knowing my background and from the coaching perspective, I think what excited me the most was seeing Chris Armas and how he approached the Minnesota United game from a team perspective. They basically matched up system for system. You're going to play with a 3-back. We're going to have 3 forwards narrow on you for counterattack. You're going to play with a 3 front in transition. We're going to have 3 center backs. So he really switched systems and played for the efficiency piece of the final third. But I agree with you. Yappy wasn't on my bingo card either. I had their game versus Cruz Azul. It was just technically a little bit off in the final third, things like that. There was nothing off about his game in those 2 moments where he scored those goals. It was the right type of runs, beautiful finishes. So there was a lot about this matchup that was really interesting. And then you had a couple players step up really big in big moments.
And it was not one of those. I did not do that. I've messed up my computer, but I didn't send you a note. You have how surprising was this result in the pantheon of the weekend, considering you've got Dane St. Clair in net for Minnesota. Tani Oluwaseyi, he doesn't really give you a whole lot of Scrabble points, but he gives you a whole lot of offense. This to me seemed like going in, the result was going to be flipped with the number on the scoreboard. How surprising a result was this for you?
It was surprising. I think we have to say that. Minnesota United is a team that doesn't need a lot of useless possession to be able to be dangerous and go forward and score goals. This game was different because of the different type of tactical matchup. Minnesota United was forced into more possession than they've had in previous games, and there wasn't as much space in the wide areas behind the back line with their opposition pushing forward. The Rapids really depended more on compact defensive shape and trying to go in the counterattacking transition. And so Minnesota United, in my opinion, did not play poorly. It just was a different type of game for them. They had their opportunities, just the efficiency in the final third went the Rapids' way. So that was really interesting from a commentator perspective, from a viewer perspective. But one thing I did want to point out, Navajo gets so much credit for his goal scoring, which is great. He defended like there was no tomorrow in this game, and that was huge for the Rapids in this moment. But, it kind of is one of those things where you're saying so much about the Rapids, and I think rightfully so. But Minnesota United still generated so many chances, especially in that first half, that they just
This is the soccer 101 in me. This is where you take me into freshman level soccer 101. This is my freshman level learning class. Eric Ramsey doesn't want the ball. He thinks the ball has cooties. And it's an odd duck to see someone with possession numbers as low as they are be as clinical and as successful as they are. What is it about Eric Ramsey and the quarter zip pullover and the white t-shirt that has been so successful with this philosophy that he's brought out?
We had a really good conversation actually leading up into the game. And one of the things he was really clear with us was that it's not that they don't want the ball or care about the ball. It's that they have figured out with personnel that they have that giving up 5% possession that another team might have to keep it on a set piece, on a throw-in, whatever those things may be, hasn't been as good for them as going for set pieces, long throws, because of the threats that they have going forward. So it was a really interesting conversation because it wasn't about an inability to do it. It was what's working for them, what throws off opposition. And speaking to him, you could tell his mind is always going from a tactical perspective and how to manipulate things. It was fascinating. to have those conversations. And I think what's working for them, he continues to go
All right,
with.
let's switch to the NWSL. You and Jessica Charman, I think, are kind of just ruling the roost. It's like you're claiming all of the NWSL, and everybody else kind of gets the pieces. Wrap up the week in review from the NWSL for me, and then we'll go talking points from there.
Well, the first part of it was Kansas City Current keeps rolling. There's such a gap at the top. We have to say that. It seems almost repetitive and boring, but the reality is they got to get their due. They are separating at the top with their 1-0 win over the Royals. Where it gets really tight is in that 3rd to 6th place and then that 7th to 10th place with only 8 teams going to the playoffs. Only 3 points separates 3rd through 6th. Only 4 points separate 7th through 10th. So that middle of the NWSL is really exciting. We saw quite a few ties this weekend. It was rivalry weekend, but the Spirit Gotham was a scoreless draw. That was the one Jessica and I were on. San Diego and Angel City was a late equalizer from Angel City on the road at San Diego, which was exciting. But the real one was the Cascadia rivalry, which is Portland Thorns versus Seattle Reign. 6 goals. 4 different goal scorers for the Portland Thorns, 6 different goal scorers in general. So that was the one to really end the weekend on.
What is everyone missing out on by not watching Timwa Shawinga play the sport?
Excitement, entertainment. It's amazing what she has done, scoring and breaking the record in 40 games for goal scoring. Her efficiency is unbelievable. Yes, they generate a decent amount of chances, the Kansas City Current, but they don't have to generate too often because she doesn't need much. And what's so interesting talking to other players that have played against her, they'll think they have her under control a little bit. And she'll be that prototypical number 9 or even play on the wing at times that doesn't have to touch the ball all the time. And then you give her 1 second, it's in the back of the net. And that's what's so exciting about what she does in NWSL.
What it be with Kacey D hanging out with us on a Tuesday, batting leadoff here on SDH AM. And should we make more of a deal about how much better Kansas City is than everybody else and turning it into what they call a horizon job? Basically, it's like everybody else is on the shoreline. You see that boat, and that boat is just going that way and off into the horizon. Or do we make more of a bigger deal about everybody in that gaggle that's behind them? What's the bigger deal here? Everyone from 2 to whatever, or that Kansas City is just far and away out there?
I think we have to speak about Kansas City because normally in the NWSL, the top 3 or 4 are the really tight races and then right around the playoff line. So it's great what they are doing. But if I'm a player in the NWSL or a coach, I am going at this point, let them do that. We got the playoffs, and let's see if we can sneak up on them in the playoffs. Right now, for fans, watching who makes the playoffs down this stretch of the fall season is the more exciting one, because besides 2 teams at the bottom that are really going to have to go on a run if they want to be in the conversation, everything else is at play.
All right, so put your coach's cap on for a second.
Let's do it.
You're playing Kansas City. How do you formationally attack what they're trying to do? If you're thinking defense and you see Shawinga and all of this offensive firepower coming at you, how do you defend that to slow it down? Because I'm not going to say stop, but how do you slow Kansas City's attack down to where they are mortal, I guess is the best way to describe it.
It's incredibly hard to do. What's really interesting about the Kansas City Current, and I'm gonna parallel the game we just spoke about with MLS, the Minnesota Colorado Rapids game. Kansas City Current does not necessarily have to have the ball. They are completely fine with suffering a little bit defensively, looking to counterattack, and that's something that Eric Ramsey said himself about the Minnesota United. They're okay with that, even though they can possess. I'd say the same thing about the Current. They are okay with possessing, and they have the quality of player to do it, but they're also fine suffering defensively. So if I'm on the opposite side, I may be taking a play out of Chris Armas's playbook of match up as much as you can with their system, maybe force them to break you down, keep it 0-0 as long as possible, and then be efficient. I think you have to show respect when you go into the Kansas City Current and play them, whether they come to you on the road or you go to them in Kansas City, which is a whole nother beast. But I think keeping it tight as long as possible is the play. Utah Royals did it last week, 0-0 till the very end of the game. But Shawinga just needed that one moment. But that really was a great approach from Jimmy Coonrod.
All right. So you once again, you've started to read my notes. With Kansas City being this entire different animal, what has it been like for you as someone who has been at the forefront of women's soccer here in the States, to see what Kansas City is doing from a facilities idea? We're going to build our own barn. We're going to be our own person. We're going to have our own identity. What's it been like for you to see Kansas City hop on the treadmill and be like George Jetson and Astro and just kind of sit there and go 900 miles an hour ever since they hit the ground running?
What the Longs have done there has been incredible, and how quickly that it's happened. And you see the fans and those in Kansas City rally around this team. I don't know if I can put into words just how wonderful as a former player that is to see that happen and the growth that's happened. There's a little bit of jealousy, I'm not going to lie. I wish I had that when I played, but that's the game. It should evolve. The investment should evolve. And so it's great for these players to go to work every day and to see what's going on around them, and even the teams that go and visit. How nice is that facility? I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's a really great environment for fans, for players, for everyone that's there.
All right, college, and it is one of our big purviews here, and you get to help us with one of our gaps. We get to cover a lot of Division II, Division III, NAIA. We get to do the Fun Belt, Georgia State, Conference USA, and all that kind of stuff. You get to hang your hat in the SEC and the ACC. And as we mentioned, when I figured out the audio problem with myself here in the workout room with the water heater, you get to hang out with those low down dirty cheaters at the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus as they come to the blessed the blessed state capital of the state of Florida, Tallahassee, for low down dirty cheaters versus Florida State Seminoles as your college coverage kicks off. What has study hall been like getting ready for this one? And then we'll go into the individual conferences from there. But FSU versus the low down dirty cheaters. What are you looking at in this one?
So I'll bring the unbiased approach, but I appreciate that about you because I am sipping out of my North Carolina old school mug. Had to bring that out.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
I love that. I was like, I'm definitely drinking out of my North Carolina mug today. We're kicking off college season, but no, the unbiased approach to the broadcasting side for sure. I'm excited for this game. On paper, obviously Florida State, the favorite. Florida's going to come in. They're going to do everything they can to slow this team down. They've made some changes in the offseason. There have been some players that have come in. They have a really good player in the back, Abby Gemma, who's a center back, transferred from Notre Dame. She's going to have her hands full. I think there's a lot of unknowns, but a very good player that against a Florida State attack is going to have a good game. But I think it's no secret that the University of Florida comes in and they're really just testing themselves against the cream of the crop early in this game.
It was great. You started talking about Florida State, and then when you mentioned the low down dirty cheaters, I don't know what happened in my headphones. Everything just kind of went all staticky, and it's just like
it must be that sound problem you have. That's
exactly, yeah. And so when you look from 30,000 feet, you look at the Southeastern Conference, and it is that 15-round heavyweight fight, knockdown, drag out. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are. Twice on Tuesday, don't care. From 30,000 feet, as we start the college season, looking at the Southeastern Conference, what sticks out in your mind?
I think they came off a really great 2024 year as a conference. So many teams that were very successful got into the NCAA tournament. So it's a bit of a toss-up to see who actually rises to the top. Mississippi State had a great year. So that's one team to watch. Nick Zimmerman's taken over as head coach there. James Armstrong left there to go to Auburn. They have had great years here recently. Alabama had a bit of an off year, but they're always a team to watch. And then you've got Georgia. So I think all of those all of those teams have players that are returning that can be really impactful. And the transfer market is huge, a lot of players being brought in. So they kind of beat up on each other. But I think once you get down the road, then that's something that helps them as they go into conference play and then into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, when Auburn was doing their preseason coaches tour, the boss wanted to go and catch up and see what was going on, and the new head soccer coach was a part of this cavalcade. And we got to hear him a little bit and find out what it was like for him to come from Stark Vegas to the Plains and the portal and coming over from and having foreign transfers coming over as a part of NIL and all that kind of stuff. These are topics that we will continue to break down as we go. So, as you get your notes together for future weeks, it's like, okay, Nelson wants to talk about this and this and this. All right. So since go ahead and flash the mug. Go ahead and one more time.
I know I can't flash it too often because I cover the league, but I think it's no secret that I went there. So,
but you're an alumna. You're showing support for your university by bringing the mug into frame. Early hits on the ACC. Obviously, what about the Alma? What's sticking in your mind about the ACC this year?
Well, I think there's always an opportunity for some teams to improve themselves, which I think is interesting. But you're looking at your normal teams, in my opinion, because of the returners that are coming back. Florida State, for sure. You've got Gianna Riley. You've got Jordan Dudley. You've got Heather Gilchrist in the back line, who just is a stalwart back there. So Florida State looks good, reigning ACC champion. Then you've got North Carolina. You did lose Evelyn Shores to Angel City this year. North Carolina did just a month ago, but returning players like Kate Fossey, Olivia Thomas, who scored in the national championship game, and Tessa Della Rose, and some newcomers as well. So I think obviously those two teams people know about and they realize they are going to be good. One team that I think we have a fan on here that's a Clemson fan, Eddie Radwanski at Clemson. They had a little bit of a down year last year. They had lost McKenna Morris to the NWSL, Hal Hirschfeld, all these players that have had wonderful NWSL careers and in their second years. I think it's a bounce back year for Clemson. I think that they're going to be much better this year and even more competitive.
All right. So what is the broadcast week for you, Kacey D? Where are you going to be? What are you doing?
Cassie, Florida State versus off the season, which is going to be amazing. I'm with Jen Hildreth. Love working with her. She's going to be great. So that'll be on ESPN with the ACC network. And then I fly straight to Toronto for MLS regular season. Columbus Crew is going to be heading there for a matchup on Saturday night.
Crew in the DMs. That's going to be really interesting. So, like I said, Tuesday morning batting leadoff is yours, and wherever you are on the planet, you can dive in 9:10, 9:15 if I figure out sound issues and computers and things like that. So,
perfect.
Case, you can bat leadoff on Tuesdays and discuss whatever you want when it comes to college and pro and where you've been and where you're going, all that kind of stuff. This is yours. Let's consider this whistleblowing and the kickoff for you batting leadoff on Tuesdays. Fantastic to have you with us to cover all the stuff that you do. Enjoy your downtime, in quotation marks. And
day.
Give Jen our best, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet. There goes Kacey D. And so Kacey has survived her segment with us. And so that's the deal. We have officially, I guess that's the breaking news. She has consented to kicking off Tuesdays with us. And she's going to break down everything that she's a part of, the match that she sees in Major League Soccer, all the things in NWSL, hanging out. See, now this is the other part. She gets to hang out with Jess Charman, one of our OGs, and Jen Hildreth, who we have known forever. So it is she is looping herself in to the OG-ness and the chaos. And so it is it's really cool to have Kacey be a part of everything here because of her coaching knowledge, her playing knowledge, everything that she's doing. I mean, you actually heard her the beginning of her segment say she's on the road for 11 days. And so if you follow her on social media, which I would recommend, you get to see all the things that she does. She was up in Montreal and she got to sample the poutine. Jason gave her some hints on poutine and such. And so it's almost like Rick Steves or Fodor's soccer with Kacey White. So Kacey will be batting leadoff with us. We're officially announcing it. Kacey's batting leadoff with us on Tuesdays, and we get to see what's going on in her brain and find out what's going on. Thank you, Kefsey. So here's, like I said, for those that may not have heard me, including me. So morning, Jordan, morning, Dell, morning, David, morning, Kefsey, morning, Derek, and yeah, we needed Abby this morning. So David and Jordan and Dell and Derek and everybody. So Dell, yes, Dell, Kacey is going to be our conduit to the larger conferences. We are going to have our college programming. The college programming that we have, we're going to be introducing some programming here on the network fairly shortly, where we're going to be talking to Georgia State. We're going to be talking to Mercer, I believe. We're going to be talking to Clayton State. We're going to be talking to Georgia Gwinnett. We're adding them to the stacks this year. So all of the college campi that have playing activity in our footprint, we're going to have a standalone program or standalone programming when it comes to the college game. But to have Kacey come in and do SEC and ACC, that's just as big. So that way she's a part of the expanded package that the Four Letter Network has with the SEC and the ACC network. And so her coverage kicks off with the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters and the activity that is going on with them as they travel to God's country, otherwise known as Tallahassee, Florida, to take on Florida State University. So keep an eye out for Case and Jen Hildreth, two of our roster of OEs. So that is your assignment. That is our college assignment going forward. We're expanding our college coverage and having Kacey as a part of it, doing SEC, ACC, all the things. That's huge for us, and we can't thank her enough for putting up with me and my stupidity on a Tuesday morning. So this is cool. I mean, legitimately, this is really cool, and this is a sidebar. It is our friends at the Marshall Islands. They are I think they're in practice right now, as a matter of fact. So the Marshall Islands folks are in Arkansas, and I would recommend following them on social media across the board as they get ready for their matches Thursday and Saturday in Springdale, Arkansas. If you're anywhere close, go visit. It's a big event for them. It's been 3 years in the making, and we're going to try and catch up with them somewhere this week. They're at practice right now in Arkansas, getting ready for the Outrigger Challenge Cup. We will have coverage. I will be there on Saturday for the final day. And so there'll be a lot of stuff on social, written, podcasty, video, the whole schmear. That's the official term. So follow, and if you don't, this is my request for you. Follow them on social media across the board so you can keep up with them. And they're getting a lot of support from the soccer community on the 280 character app for this kickoff that is coming up. You're seeing clubs from all around the world wishing them their best. And so before the week ends, like I said, I'm hoping it'll be Thursday morning because breakfast will have ended at the time that we can visit. So we get them out of breakfast and we'll catch up with them, and it's match day. So it may not be the busiest of days. It might just be a little rest and regen and study hall and all that kind of stuff. So we can catch up with them at breakfast on Thursday match day. That's our goal. Just so you know, as I duck out of frame, here's the rest of the week as we know it. Today, the rest of the show is going to be news, unless we have people parachuting in just to kind of chew the fat. So it is going to be a lot of news, and Crystal Palace is mad, and they came out with a statement saying that they were mad. We'll go over that coming up in a bit. And that is the beginning of the news. We got the transfer stuff. We've got Alexander Isak. We have all of those things that we can get into this morning. We also continue our John Texter 101, checking in on the Texterverse, because we mentioned yesterday that he is pairing himself up with a financier. And we'll go back in to tell you about the financier and a little bit of his history and let you know what's going on there. But we'll get back into the Texterverse in a little bit this morning as well. Wednesday, normal. Tyler's going to join us at 9:15. Busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, can join us at 10 o'clock. Jose Silva is going to be joining us off the practice field, the interim head coach for Atlanta United 2. He'll be joining us at about 10:45. And we'll get a quick preview from Jose, find out what's going on, find out about the big win last time out, and find out what it's going to be like getting ready for Crown Legacy Sunday at the Fraction. Home match Sunday at the Fraction, 4 matches, 2 weeks. This is where those matches in hand come back in and they get to compress and they get to be online with the rest of the schedule. Thursday, at the Power Hour is hour number 2. That we know. Nino and Nico, 10 and 10:30 are the last half hour of the show. We are also efforting Marty Jellamy, the head coach of Atlanta United Unified this week, and we are also efforting the return of Matt Pollard from Burgundy Wave to break down everything for our opposition research, getting ready for Atlanta United and Colorado this weekend. So that is Thursday and the remainder of the week. But Nino and Nico, Power Hour Thursday, that's locked in place. Friday, as of right now, it looks like we're going to have Marcelo Balboa on at 10 o'clock in our standard MLS preview weekend place. Cello's having his jersey retired in Colorado this weekend, so it's a bit of an added bonus that we get to catch up with Cello. 10 o'clock Friday morning, and it's going to be fun to catch up with him, find out about his Rapids memories, and the Rapids are far better than the Rockies. So the Rapids are far better than the Rockies are. Cello's having his jersey retired. We're catching up with him as of right now, 10 o'clock on Friday morning. So that's the rundown of the guests and who we're chasing for the remainder of the week. I'm in the workout room today and tomorrow. So yes, there's a lot of workout equipment this way and this way. You've seen the water heater. It's here. It's almost like an over-the-shoulder graphic, the water heater, symbolizing being at Topsail. So the boss and I are here at Topsail today and tomorrow. You can actually hear me, which is always a good thing. I don't know about the graphics. I can't hear the graphics. I can just see them kind of moving, and that's why I have return, so I can kind of see what's going on. So that's the rundown for the rest of the week. As always, if anything happens, we'll chase after it. We're also chasing after to continue our Texterverse. You know, when Tuesdays come, traditionally Tuesdays are our deep divey kind of thing, and we sit there and we'll go after big topics. The plan is on Tuesday next week from today. We will be catching up with folks who have been covering John Texter for as long as they've been able to. And we're going to find out the kind of individual that he is, and we'll find out what kind of owner he is and how he is perceived in certain circles. So we'll be getting into that. We'll be getting into the Texterverse in depth. We'll talk a little bit about it this morning. Next Tuesday, we'll be getting into Texterverse 101, deeper dive. That might be more of a sophomore or junior level class, 201, 301, that kind of a thing. So that's what we're getting into with him as we continue to monitor him and Sheffield Wednesday. So we'll get into John Texter and everything coming up in a bit. All right, let's cut through the promos. It is actually here. Let me see. Do I need to sit up or slide? Actually, if I sit up, it's a little better. Okay. Once again, remember, don't forget. We mentioned the Marshall Islands. If you want to help support them, you can get the gear. I've gotten the gear. I've gone poor. I'm still going to get the gear. And we also help them out with the scarves. We need to reorder the scarves. So if you want to, go to their website, the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, and pre-order for the next go-round. And that'll help out defray the costs a little bit. So you can get the scarves, get the jerseys, the bucket hats on sale, by the way. And you can go and support them that way. So if you support them that way, that's part of it. Watch the matches this weekend. I think it's like $5 a match or something like that. And you can help them out that way too when it comes to raising funds for them in their future. Outrigger Challenge Cup this week in Springdale, Arkansas. Also, for our gear, Olive in York, you can get our jersey, and that helps out our Soccer for Good campaign. It's the Navy jersey, the very, very 80s feel with the floppy collar. And with that, You can get it personalized either in the double blue or the white. Check with Alex and Abby and figure out what you want to do when it comes to the personalization. Abby has both, so you can consult with Alex and Abby, get your feedback, and figure out what you want to do there when it comes to the jerseys. Helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Okay. Then Grady Baby Co. The soccer is just better in Atlanta gear that we have. The golden embossed sweatshirt t-shirt. The boss has me wear the red because she can't wear red because of obvious reasons. And so you can get that, and it helps out everything going on with our Soccer for Good campaign. But this one specifically, t-shirt, sweatshirt, is attached to middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system. So that's how you can help out with Grady Baby. And you'll see us wearing the Grady Baby gear all the way around. Then become a Fanatico. What do you do for $10 a year? What do you do for $10 a year? Hang on just a second. I can actually, for one of the few times in my life, I was actually carrying cash the other day. Well, that ain't it. That was my receipt for my luggage. All right, so I have in my pocket now in my hands $20 bill. What do you do for a 20? You think about it for a second. What do you do for a 10 with a 10? You can become a Fanatico, and you can help out our Soccer for Good campaign in 25. You do it that way, and you help them out, and you help us out as well when it comes to our Soccer for Good campaign. Download the Chant app, and you can become a Fanatico. I'll show it to you right here. And it's actually here in the workout room. You don't have the glare that you have in the studio. So here is the beginning statement. Once again, spread the word, fun year ahead, and a lot of great places and a lot of great partners that we have that are attached to the Fanaticos. And here's the list, and the list is continuing to grow, of folks that where if you become a Fanatico, you can go in, get discounts, things like that. Brass Tap in Marietta, Moxie Hotel, Midtown Atlanta, 20% off hotel food and beverage if you're a Fanatico. South Main in Watkinsville, Schoolhouse Brewing, Hard Cider, Elixir in both Buford and Monroe. Round Trip in Marietta, Social Fox in Norcross. Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, 15% off your first catered event if you're a Fanatico. Fido Midtown, 10% off your food tab. O'Sullivan's, $5 select beers, 10% off your food bill, 10% off merch. So the Decatur FC merch that would be burning a hole in the plastic burning a hole in my pocket trying to get the Decatur FC merch, 10% off if you're a Fanatico. Lloyd's Soccer at Medlock Bridge and Johns Creek, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Finished Goods Brew Works and Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville. Stone Mountain Outrun, Tires Plus, $25 off alignment services, $25 off oil change, $50 off 4 tires at the Alpharetta location if you are a Fanatico. Dad's Garage, $2 off beer and wine ticket. Chateau Arnal, this one's my personal favorite. It's the wildest one of the bunch. El Castillo San Ramon, Costa Rica. With a code, you get 10% off any booking. So if you want to go to Costa Rica, you want to go watch say, Saprissa. You want to go watch Alajuelense. You want to go watch our friends at Herediano. You can go down to Costa Rica, and if you're a Fanatico, use a code and stay at Chateau Arenal while you're watching that soccer in Costa Rica in the Costa Rican Primera or the CONCACAF Champions Cup. You can do that if you're a Fanatico. Battle and Brew, Sandy Springs and the Battery, Wild Leap on Ted Turner Drive. That you can get by being a Fanatico. Group.chant, I'm going to type it because I can actually, oh my God, I can actually see. And because I can actually see what I'm typing, because traditionally, you know how we talk about how the need help button is obstructing what's going on. It's not obstructing it today. And I guess it's because I'm doing it off of the laptop as opposed to the desktop. So here you go. Fanaticos. Group.chant.fan/soccer-down-here/join. $10 a year. Download the Chant app. You do all that. You can be a Fanatico. You get a lot of great discounts from a lot of cool places and a lot of cool people who feel the same way that we do when it comes to growing the game and being a part of everything for this next 5 years that's going to be a part of everything. So literally, download the Chant app, group.chant.fan/soccer-down-here/join, and you can be a Fanatico. Also, What you can also do, I thought I hid that. Hang on. There we go. Don't forget to download Fanatis and become a member of fntz.co/soccer. And you get to see our buddy Nino Torres on Goal TV. Nino, once again, he's here, fully loaded. We tour the planet with Nino, and the Portuguese league is up and running, and they have pieces that they have to figure out and all that. Nino Damas has selected, and by the way, Nino Damas is on the TikToks, which is dangerous. Nino Damas on the TikToks. Oh, my God. Nino Torres Goal TV in English and in Spanish. All the BNs, and I'm not kidding, all the BNs. They've added Tigo Sports. They've added Canal 4 and also CATV. You can get those individual games in those individual leagues. You can get CDO, Nuestra Tele, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max Pro. To give you an example of what you could do, this past weekend on Fanatis, we got to watch Sporting Cristal and Melgar. The game itself was insane. And we got to see Luis Abram come in as a substitute in the second half. He's wearing number 96, by the way, for Sporting Cristal. And for Racing, you get to see Santi Sosa with the LPF, the Argentine League. So that's there too. And all of the activity that is going on in the Fanatis universe. All the BNs, Nuestra Tele, CDO, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max Pro, TIC, Goal TV, it's all there. fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps us out, helps the network out, helps them, and it continues to add to your degenerate watching when it comes to everything going on in the world of soccer. I think that's all the promos. All right, let's get you into the news, and really cool. Okay, so keeper coach Matt Perella, and this is the other thing. Marshall Islands, they're blowing things up, showing you everything going on behind the scenes. Like I said, follow them at SoccerFedMI on the 280, and you get to see everything that's going on. They are billeted in Arkansas. They're getting ready for their first evers, and it's going to be so cool. And like I said, we're going to be there on Saturday, and we're going to blow it up. All right, Crystal Palace. Not going to get into John Textor yet. We got Crystal Palace being mad and transfers and things, and John Textor, he'll be in hour number 2. Trust me, there's stuff to talk about there, more of the education, all of that. That's now hour number 2. We got to finish up what happened last weekend in Major League Soccer, but transfers, Crystal Palace, that's where we're going to start with the news. So Crystal Palace, shocking no one, is Matter than a Hornet. Steve Parrish. If I could spell Steve. Unbelievable. Fat fingers again. Steve. Steve Parrish is not a happy man. CEO for TAG. So we will follow him now. So he's mad about the decision from CAS. So as of an hour ago, so as I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me and trying to get the show up and running, Steve Parrish and Crystal Palace put out a statement. Here is said statement. And yeah, they're madder than hornets. Quote, at a time when we should be celebrating our victory in the Community Shield at Wembley, the decision by UEFA and followed by the Court of Arbitration for Sport shows that sporting merit is rendered meaningless. We'll analyze the statement in a bit. When we won the FA Cup against Manchester City on that momentous day in May, our manager and players earned the right to play Europa League football. We have been denied that opportunity. It appears that certain clubs, organizations, and individuals have a unique privilege and power. This growing and unhealthy influence has shattered the hopes and dreams of Crystal Palace supporters and does not bode well for aspirational teams all over Europe competing to progress when rules and sanctions are unevenly applied in the most flagrant way. Multi-club structures hide behind the charade of a blind trust, while clubs such as ours, who have no connection to another club whatsoever, are prevented from playing in the same competition. To compound the injustice, clubs that appear to have huge informal arrangements with each other are also allowed to participate and even possibly play against each other. While we lack the CAS tribunal members, the process is designed to severely restrict and, in our case, make it almost impossible to receive a fair hearing. The denial of all disclosure requests to obtain correspondence between the relevant parties the refusal to allow witness testimony from those involved, and the general lack of formality and respect for law mean decisions cannot be properly challenged, leading to predetermined outcomes. UEFA's decision has wider implications for the governance of the sport. A combination of poorly conceived regulations and their unequal application means our brilliant fans will be deprived of the chance to watch this team compete in the Europa League for the first time in our history. This should be a turning point for football. UEFA must fulfill its mandate to pass coherent rules, which are properly communicated and applied with reasonable cure periods to resolve uncertainty and consistent sanctions, treating all clubs equally with a proper appeal process. The European Court of Justice has made it clear that rulings similar to this will be under great scrutiny from national courts in future. Only then will fairness and due process be granted to every team. Although we continue to take legal advice on the next steps, we will compete in the Conference League with the same determination and will to win that characterized this incredible club. So said Steve Parrish about an hour ago. Okay, let's kind of break this down a little bit. I would anticipate that you are going to see something in the legal purview. Something. You're going to see something. You're going to see the next step in this process for Crystal Palace in the legal sphere, as the kids say. What it is and where it's going to be, I don't know. My European Court of Justice might be the ECJ. Might be civil action, don't know. But as Steve Parrish said, it is going to be, it is going to be activity of theirs in the Europa Conference League. Frankly, the best revenge would be quoting Ted Lasso at the end of season 1, without the bleep, where you just go and win the whole blanking thing. That might be the best revenge if you are Steve Parrish and if you are Crystal Palace in all of this. But let's analyze what he said. I feel like I have to be properly hydrated for this. Okay. So let's break down what he said. And if I'm misinterpreting any of this, let me know. So he says, sporting merit rendered meaningless, blah, 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 denied that opportunity. It appears certain clubs and organizations and individuals have a unique privilege and power. That's been happening for a long time. Shoot, just look at Manchester City. So this is not new information, I would say. What Manchester City has been able to do in their legal expertise and taking things to the nth degree when it comes to courts and processes and all that kind of stuff. Just look at Manchester City. That would be a big example for you. Growing unhealthy influences shattered the hopes and dreams of Crystal Palace supporters. Doesn't bode well for aspirational teams all over Europe competing to progress when rules and sanctions unevenly applied in the most flagrant way. You look at what he said, and the rules are the rules. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing to say in this regard. The rules are the rules. And regardless of what you think about the notion of a blind trust, there were deadlines. And Nottingham Forest anticipating the idea that perhaps they might be in European competition, went through the machination of filing the blind trust through Evangelinas Marinakis, stepping away. And like I said, for those of you who are watching, you see me using air quotes. Those of you who are listening, I will emphasize the air quotes. So Evangelinas Marinakis, with his club Nottingham Forest, knowing that Olympiacos is doing just as well, maybe had to do something about it. Then there was a March 1st deadline. And they went through those steps. And this is me right now, just going through the information as I remember it. So, like I said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Evangelinas Marinakis goes through the idea of filing the blind trust, which you have to do by March 1. Crystal Palace, not anticipating, I would imagine, the FA Cup run of FA Cup runs and beating Manchester City in a final and going into the European competitions, did no such thing. Should there be some kind of dispensation for clubs that are having these kinds of runs and have it as an, oh, by the way, codicil in the application of blind trusts? Probably. I don't think that if you were a Crystal Palace supporter, you could have anticipated the run of all runs in the FA Cup. So that March 1st blind trust deadline really doesn't mean a whole lot to you because you're, bottom half of the table, you're like 12th. And it's kind of like, sure, we're doing okay in the FA Cup. We're 12th. We're happy to be here in the Premier League. We're doing all right. March 1st passes by. You're in the FA Cup. Hey, we're really doing well in the FA Cup. Then you continue to do well in the FA Cup. You keep going. You keep going. You keep going. You keep going. Then, all of a sudden, you're in the final, which is well past March 1st. Like I said, it probably was not in Steve Parrish's mind or the mind of Eagle Football Holdings at the time to sit there and go, you know what? Maybe we should put this in a blind trust. I'm thinking on March 1st, that is probably one of the farthest things from the mind of Crystal Palace. Maybe we should put this in a blind trust. We seem to be doing okay in the FA Cup. Long way to go, but we're doing okay. I don't think necessarily that that's of a priority at that time. So as you go, I'm thinking that somewhere in the bylaws and the rules of the game, that there should be some kind of special papal dispensation for the notion of, hey, crap, these underdogs really did well. Maybe we should, have them do something if they've won the FA Cup. I would see nothing wrong in the future of a team on a miracle run that happens to have ties where you would have to put things in a blind trust. If you go on a miracle run, have that special codicil in there. Well, like, hey, this would be like a force majeure clause, almost like the act of God clause. Put something in there in the future, have in the rules of the game from UEFA a force majeure clause involving clubs that go on these kinds of runs. But right now, they're not on the books. So Crystal Palace became a victim of their own success because of the rules as they're currently stated. And you understand Steve Parish is hot. Blind trusts, and I will use air quotes, blind trusts, I mean, literally, all you got to do is look at Nottingham Forest. Evangelinas Marinakis puts it in a blind trust, yet he still wants to storm out onto the field, confront a physio, and confront Nuno Espirito Santo. He can do that as a concerned person attached to Nottingham Forest who doesn't own the club in name. It is in a blind trust, but he can still be mad as a hornet when things don't go right and go out and storm on the field and so on and so forth. So, look, Steve Parish, I get it. Maybe what this does is forces I won't necessarily say a rule change, but an adjustment if you have these clubs that are going in the direction that they go. They have these miracle runs. You get that 12, the 13, the 14 seed. You get that George Mason. And look, Jim Larinaga, George Mason, they wouldn't be thinking about, hey, maybe we need to put all these new winnings that we're getting from the NCAA tournament. We need to put them in an interest-bearing checking account. Maybe not. I don't think that's quite the priority. The priority, I think, at the time is trying to get through the national semifinal. You're not thinking that George Mason is going to make it to the championship game. Butler. You're not, if you're a Butler, you're not thinking about that. You're Brad Stevens. You're not thinking about, hey, maybe I should do something and make sure the Butler Bulldogs taken care of with all these winnings. No, it's not something that is readily of mind. Rules are being what the rules are. If you're an underdog, in the term you want to use, rules not there. Maybe this is that lesson for UEFA to sit there and have a little bit of grace period. Dude's on a roll. Give him that chance to sit there and do something about it. Hey, we benefit from this win. We benefit from this run. Okay, now put it in a blind trust. Or maybe leading into the championship game. Hey, in case you win, put this in a blind trust. Something like that. So there should probably be some kind of rules adjustment. Add a codicil, another paragraph or something like that, allotting for a calendar time frame. If you're that 14 seed and you make it all the way through to the national semifinal, hey, dude, you probably should do this. And if you benefit from it, then you benefit from it. So going through the multi-club structures hiding behind the charade of a blind trust, while clubs such as ours have no connection to another club whatsoever. As well, he says this now. At the time, Eagle Football Holdings was a part of your purview. And that was the mess that we're talking about here, where undue influence comes back as a part of the current rule system. And you end up with what happened. How can you say, excuse me, how can you say that the individual that has the highest percentage of the ownership of your club does not have undue influence? Oh, he's focused on Lyon. I don't know if you can get away with that. Obviously, the Court of Arbitration for Sport thought the same. Guy owned a lot. You have his actions, and that's another thing to keep an eye on going forward. Keep an eye on where transactions are going. We've seen with the Thiago Almada situation that players were going to get shuffled inside the multiple clubs that were attached. The idea was to have Thiago sign, start at Botafogo, go to Lyon, and then go on from there. That happened. That was the progress that was there. Success at Botafogo, you win titles. You go to Lyon, you score in European competition. You're sold on to Atletico de Madrid. That is a part of this ecosystem. That is a part of the day. Sun rises, players move, they're sold on, and sometimes they're shuttled in between. Look at Tati Castellanos. Look at what Manchester City does with their players that they ship to Girona. That's a part of their deal. They work the players inside the system, and if there happen to be the shaving of financials, it's like, yeah, we'll send you $2 million to cover the cost. We'll do this. We'll do this. It's all within that same organizational structure. It's a part deal. But at the end of the rule was what caught up with Crystal Palace. See, now, David, this would be kind of a cool idea. New feature in FIFA EA, be a pro, be a manager, and new in 2026, be a multi-club model owner. That, I think, would be really cool. I think legitimately, David, I don't think you're wrong. I think that you've given EA something to think about, and you probably should patent and or trademark this idea. I'm giving you this encouragement now on the show. Keep an eye on this idea. But I like that idea. Oops, hit that twice. It's a fact of life. MCOs shuttle players across the board. They do this. It's a part of the deal. There was through the laws of enforcement, John Textor and Eagle Football Holdings owned 43%. After all of the sirens go off and everybody is going for their bike helmets, after all the sirens go off, after the Crystal Palace win, we've got to do something. And then that's when John Textor sold his 43% share to Woody Johnson. That's what was listed publicly. There are reports that Aries management got most of the proceeds from that sale. Once again, something to keep an eye on. So $193 million for that 43% sale to Woody Johnson, apparently. It was reported publicly that the sale was to Woody Johnson. But other reports are saying that Aries management, who owns a fair chunk, a decent chunk, less than 10%, because that's what you can own without needing to be reported to the standards and practices tests. That's why you see a lot of big clubs and a lot of clubs with a lot of ownership that's less than 9.9%. 9.9% means you don't have to be up for any kind of standards and practices review. Oh, okay, yeah. We don't have to look at your books. So Aries, who has a $193 million loan out to, they have a loan out to John Textor at 19.4% interest. It has been reported in some circles that 193 that was slated to go to Woody Johnson, most of that went to Aries because of that 19.4% interest loan that he has with them. MCOs are a part of the deal. You were Steve Parrish at the time that you won the FA Cup and MCO because of Lyon and Crystal Palace, and that was part of the plan too, is that possibly Thiago to the Premier League would be to Crystal Palace. We remember those discussions. So Steve Parrish, as a part of the deal, yelling about multi-club models. He was a multi-club model after he won the FA Cup. Then they're like, we got to do something. So I think that's a bit of a glass house. Wrong about the idea of the blind trust, but it's a bit of a glass house. Clubs appear to have huge informal arrangements with each other, are also allowed to participate, even possibly play against each other. If you got dance partners, they're going to dance with you. So like I said, keep an eye on the relationship between John Textor and his properties and Evangelinas Marinakis. Keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on Nottingham Forest, Olympiacos, Botafogo, Molenbeek, etc. Keep an eye on those. That is just a fact of life. You're going to trade with your buddies. This is just bottom line. That's what you're going to do. So that's kind of a fact of life. It should not be a surprise. Your friends and those that you have relationships with, friendly dance partners, you're going to do that. I don't know how many folks are going to want to be dance partners with Crystal Palace going forward, especially after this statement. You might have to lone wolf your way through a lot. Respecting cash tribunal members' process designed to severely restrict and, in our case, make it almost impossible to receive a fair hearing. The current rules of engagement, as they were listed as such. It's not a whole lot Cass could do. Me saying this about Cass is probably groundbreaking. But not a whole lot Cass could do, I don't think. You sit there and you stare at a percentage, 43%, John Textor. He might have undue influence. Is the majority shareholder. Unless he is someone who is completely and totally just hands-off, which he has not proven to be. There might be owners that are hands-off, but when it comes to billion-dollar corporations, I don't necessarily know a whole lot of owners that are in that sport that are, and especially in the European theater, that are hands-off. Denial of all disclosure requests to obtain correspondence between the relevant parties, refusal to allow witness testimony, and the general lack of formality and respect for the law. Decisions cannot properly be challenged, leading to predetermined outcomes. Yeah, I'm not going to dispute that. UEFA's decision has wider implications. Poorly conceived regulations, unequal application means our brilliant fans will be deprived. Yes. I mean, you have to say, you're going to be saying this about your fans. Absolutely, you are. This should be a turning point for Steve Parrish is absolutely 100% correct. Absolutely should be. Absolutely should be. I hope that it will be on a couple of different fronts. And so that's kind of the other reason that we're going down this road with everybody else here. To look at all of these different situations involving all of these owners. And it kind of started, obviously, with John Textor still owing Atlanta United apparently $30 million. And that's when this started for us on these roads on these Tuesdays. ECJ has made it clear ruling similar to this will be under greater scrutiny. Okay, cool. Continue to take legal advice. We'll compete in the Conference League. Like I said, the biggest thing I would recommend is win the whole blanking thing. Prove that your model's better. Have that chip on your shoulder. Where's William Conrad? Do that. You're not wrong in some of these. You said what you had to say in some of this large statement that you put out at 9 o'clock this morning. Like I said, I get what you're saying. But there are some aspects of it, obviously, that are tied to deadlines and tied to the rules of the game. So that way, you're kind of stuck. Would I suggest a rule change here? Absolutely, I would. I would absolutely suggest a rule change. And that way, hopefully, things could continue to proceed in a manner that would benefit the sport. What is it about the money and rules? He who has the money makes the rules. In this case, I mean, we see it all the time. But once again, so part of our charge going forward and part of my ask to you is keep an eye on clubs, keep an eye on their owners, keep an eye on who they have conversations with and relate to. See where players are going. See who, has the handshakes, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Here's my handshake. Here's my handshake. Those kinds of things. Just keep an eye on all of those. And we will try to navigate all of these things going forward. So since we're in this particular section, like I said, I know we've got to talk about Major League Soccer. I know whatever's on your mind this morning, please, Twitch pitch. We got to get into the rest of the weekend in Major League Soccer. There's some stuff on Timothy Ford. We've got to get into that. It's brief. To keep an eye on with Timothy Ford. And the other news of the day, transfers. There are some official transfers. By the way, did you see that Yorgos Giacomakis, in his time at Cruz Azul, might be coming to an end? He was loaned to PAOK Salonika in the Greek League. Gives him a chance to go home. I wonder what his first press conference at PAOK Salonika is going to be, discussing Liga MX. I'm just saying. David could just own teams on separate continents and confederacies. You got a lot of folks, though, that are tied to the European theater and want to do it in a bunch of different places, looking at assets that may be distressed or that they can turn into profitable machines as a part of MCOs. I want to look at something real quick. Yorgos Giacomakis transfer marked. Diario AS, by the way, when discussing Yorgos Giacomakis, here's their headline. Cruz Azul set for steep loss on flop Yorgos Giacomakis. Once a $10 million gamble, Giacomakis leaves the Liga MX club on loan and could be sold at a significant loss. Sergio Mancilla and Roddy Khans. And this is from Diario AS. Short-lived Cruz Azul chapter is officially over. The Greek striker is packing his bags for a return home, with reports in Europe confirming he'll sign for PAOK Thessaloniki in a deal worth approximately $2.3 million. A fraction of an emphasis mine. A fraction of what the Mexican club paid for him. Fabrizio Romano, about this time yesterday morning, of course, when we're off the air. Deal agreed and done with Cruz Azul. Loan fee €2 million, and there will be an option to buy. Close to $10 million to bring him in July of 24. So in July of 24, at the last trade deadline, the last secondary window, Yorgos Giacomakis sent on his way. Cruz Azul, $10 million. 13 months go by, and he is loaned out to PAOK Thessaloniki for 2.3. That is a steep discount. That is a big loss. 75% loss on Yorgos Giacomakis. Story continues. 1-year loan with an option to buy for roughly the same amount. So at the end of it all, it's a 1-year loan, option to buy. So at the end of this, it could be a deal for Cruz Azul where they get $4.6 million back. Let's say, for the sake of example. They dropped 10 to get him 13 months ago. You guys got it good. David, he said Mexican teams are too. Well, he said, I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for this presser at PAOK Thessaloniki. Mexican teams too happy losing so much they won't play me. Jordan basically says, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Let him go home. He can enjoy his baklava and uzo retsina. He probably will. 13 months. 2.3 out the door. And if he's successful at PAOK Thessaloniki, another 2.3. 0.6-ish for Yorgos Giacomakis. The man who said that he didn't like playing in Liga MX because teams in MLS like losing. So still had a contract through 2028. He had 3 years left on his deal. And that's probably going to help out in the diffusing of the dollars for Cruz Azul, considering it was 10 over 5. So their hit's only $2 million a year over time. Never live up to expectations. This is Diario AS. This is not me. Never live up to expectations in 40 appearances for La Máquina. 9 plus 8 in 40 appearances. That's about, well, that's what? That is a goal action every other match. Numbers far below what a club with Cruz Azul's ambitions demands. In fact, once again, continuing Diario AS, the only stop in his career where he produced less was AEK Athens, where he scored 3 goals. Giacomakis now returns to the league where he previously played for Platanias and AEK. For Cruz Azul, it closes the book on a cost transfer gamble that never paid off. Remember when all of this started, there was the idea that he might go to Charlotte, which would have been the irony of the ironies for Bart and the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters up 75. 85. Sorry, 85 is Charlotte. So, yeah, up 85, the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters in Charlotte. Apparently, Dean Smith was kicking the tires on him there. I don't know if David threw a drink at Dean Smith at that point, but nevertheless. So the irony that the idea of Charlotte and Gigi at Cruz Azul was fun and funny, but it ends up now going back to his homeland. And I hope that he sorts everything out. I really do. But 2.3 to Cruz Azul to loan him out to PAOK Thessaloniki. That ain't good business. That is basically sitting there going, we're done. We're done with you. We're done. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Jason apparently found out about the late start to the show this morning. So yeah, Yorkie Shakamakis for 2.3. 2.3 to go back home, and then another 2.3 maybe if he does well. And Derek, true. Yeah, it's right now you're going to be patient, but once again, Latte Lot has been that number was spread out over X number of years to defray the costs, so we'll see. And that is going to be one of the biggest things to keep an eye on going forward. Is how to get how to get Latte Lot involved, engaged, locked in to the guy that we saw earlier this season. That's going to be one of the big questions. All right, rest of Major League Soccer from the weekend. We'll get into that, and we'll get into your standings. And once again, we'll talk about the twos a little bit as well. They had a big win, and that was fun. Going up to Toronto last Friday night, taking on Toronto FC 2. And if you haven't seen it, go find goal number 3, the Rodrigo Neri free kick around the wall, near post, short side, keeper beaten. So big win for Atlanta United 2. They got Crown Legacy this Sunday at the Fraction. Be there. They're chasing the playoffs. 4 matches in 2 weeks, and it's an opportunity for them to get into the playoff discussion. They've got to keep winning, and they definitely have to keep winning the matches that they have in hand. But the shot is there. The opportunity is there for them to get into the playoffs and get into the postseason. Big win for them. 3-1 over Toronto FC 2 in Toronto on the road. First road win of the season for the Twos against Toronto FC 2. So that is that's what you're staring at with them. Okay, Major League Soccer last weekend, and just to give you an idea about you're seeing a lot of stuff in soccer media about Timothy Ford, and Timothy Ford was the man in the middle for LAFC in Vancouver. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of information on it, but here are the pieces that have been put out into the ether. So Timothy Ford he was the man in the middle for Vancouver and LAFC. In that matchup, we'll go back to the numbers. In the matchup of, if I could find it, where's my LAFC match? LA and Seattle was the last one on the board. So in the Vancouver LAFC match, which would have been 2 weeks ago, I think, because there's LAFC, full schedule. Actually, well, let me do it this way. It'd be a lot easier because I thought it was going to be an easy poll, but it was not. So LAFC's schedule. In the matchup against Vancouver, Timothy Ford caught fire from Vancouver fans. And it was over his calls in the match that was 2-2 back in May at BC Place. And so at BC Place, you had in the stats, and I think this is the match that is being referenced, you had fouls called. There were 30, 17 to LAFC and 13 to Vancouver. So that obviously is not the match that people are referring to. They're trying to reference a previous match involving those two clubs where Timothy Ford's calling went absolutely sideways, and it went heavily against the Vancouver Whitecaps. And so everybody is sitting there and raging and raging and raging. Oh, the 1-0 Vancouver win. There it is. Okay. 1-0 at BMO at the end of June. And the stats in this one, you had the 1 goal by Emmanuel Sabi in the 20th minute. That was it, 1-0. So the stats on the night that people were getting revved up about, I don't know what they're getting revved up about. It's 20 fouls. So there was apparently a match. So it's not anything this season completely and totally out of the ordinary, it appears. But they were making points about matches, 3 yellows, no reds. All right, so I give up. But anyway, Timothy Ford apparently, and this is on posts that his wife made to the Insta, where he is allegedly, apparently wearing LAFC gear, and the Vancouver fans are mad. I think that's right. I think I've got my teams correct. Hang on just a second. So you have teams that are mad, you have fans that are mad, and they want nothing to do with Timothy Ford, and that he should be investigated. And you've got a lot of rawr going on right now with Timothy Ford. Timothy Ford has not really garnered himself a whole lot of fans. And it is, you have folks that are sitting there and LAFC discussing what's been going on, LAFC fans and all of this. Okay, so once again, they're looking at Timothy Ford's numbers and trying to make intimations about all of this. You have fans that are just completely and totally going off the rails when it comes to Timothy Ford. Oh, it probably had to do with the VAR. That was it. Okay, so that might be the why. So they're looking at VAR and things like that. Okay, so we're getting into the nitty gritty of this, and you're looking at, let me see, latest Timothy Ford. So legitimately, the biggest thing is you got fans that are mad. Timothy Ford has not really won himself any fans in the future, really in the past. And so Timothy Ford is now on 7-year-old Instagram photos being shown wearing an LAFC jersey. And so, of course, that means everything is completely and totally out of control where Timothy Ford is concerned, and rawr. Jonathan Tannenwald, if I could spell Tannenwald, mentions it in his 280 feed this morning. And it was, let's see, where is it? Pro is looking into the Timothy Ford stuff. And this is quoting Tannenwald. No, I don't know how an investigation into Instagram posts by his wife, one of which is 7 years old, will end up. That's all I've got for now. Yes, you're all going to scream at me that my posting here means he's already been proven guilty and will be hung crier in front of the Gastown steam clock or something. No, that's not what it actually means. That, again, is all I've got for now. You look at his performance, and folks are finally seeing what we've been seeing with Timothy Ford. So 8 games this year, 37 yellows, 3 reds, VAR review, and you have Whitecap fans and mentions who have complained about him as well. So it is a bit of a rager right now involving Timothy Ford. It's a Tuesday, and so Jared is in with us here. It has been an interesting show this morning. It took me a good 6 minutes to figure out one switch and figure out how to actually have people hear me talk. So, you know, that's been a unique situation so far.
That's always fun.
Mm-hmm. You know, you're in a new location and everything resets inside the laptop and everything, and you're going, okay, why can't I not hear anything? And so it was a fishing expedition to flip one switch.
That's how it
And
goes.
so, yeah, and so the boss and I are here in Topsail until the end of the show tomorrow, and then heading back on Wednesday. But so, yes, this is why I'm in this incredible workout room from our friend's house here in Topsail. And yes, that is a water heater.
I was going to ask, but
It's a water heater. It's a water
I
heater.
thought better of it.
So we were about to get into what happened this past week in Major League Soccer on the whole. This is the first chance you have had.
No, Dell, I wouldn't rage. I would just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like that,
Right.
the end. I would just leave.
Yes.
That would be the end of this. That would be the end of my interactions.
Yes.
I have better things to do than fight my microphone today.
Yes. Yes. No. Well, and the thing is, yeah, and then Jarrett's going to tell me when he has his Irish goodbye. That's usually how this works.
We try.
Yes. So we were about to go through the weekend in Major League Soccer, but since this is the first chance that you have had to talk about Atlanta United for the fifth time this season, pulling a point from none. Unfortunately, doing it. No, Del. John did not buy a beach house. John did not buy a beach house.
I mean, so I don't know what you want. I mean, this team is just it's flawed.
Yeah.
Hey, George, Salt Lake's fine, man. Like we're south of town. I'm enjoying it. It's hot, but it's not humid, and I have run out of ways to express this to people. Um, that ah, it's hot outside. I'm like, it's 93. Like it is. Yes, it is hot. But when I stand in the shade, I'm fine because I can actually breathe the air and I don't feel like I need gills. So, yeah,
Yes.
thoroughly enjoyed that part. The people have been nice. The traffic is not as suicidal as Atlanta traffic is. Like,
But you do have one thing that you need to warn people about Salt Lake and their choice of restaurants that they need to be warned.
okay, I was ranting about this last night that like, and it wasn't even like it worked out. But man, let me tell you about the Chick-fil-A on the south side of Salt Lake City in Saratoga
Yes,
Springs
you need to
not
hear.
being fast because that Chick-fil-A was slow.
Mhm.
Not only that, like they were like bringing the wrong bags to cars. I'm like, you people are not ready for the majors. You are not ready for a Metro Atlanta Chick-fil-A where that thing is a well-oiled machine. No, they were nice about everything. They were just
Oh,
not as
of course
fast
they're
as what I'm
nice about. They're nice about it.
I know they're under penalty of death, but yeah, it wasn't as fast as what I was used to, and I'm like, oh, this is like the minor leagues for Chick-fil-A.
Mm-hmm.
They're still trying to figure it out. Yeah, man. Yeah, he tells a corporate trainer like, man, it was just like the lines were just slow.
Well,
Like
and
they brought the wrong bag over and were like, that's not us. And then like the person looked mortified, brought us the right bag. They were super nice about it. We were like everybody was cool. And like I told them like, hey, you asked before you handed it to me, so we didn't like drive away with Joe Pesci and Lethal Weapon. Was it 2 or 3 where he goes on the memorable rant about the drive-through?
it's probably 2 because
I think it's
3 he
2.
was. Yeah, 2 he was the character that stole the movie from Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. 3 he was just kind of the added bonus of material.
Yeah, Salt Lake's nice. It's like again, the driving aspect is always fun for me because yeah, people here make bad decisions with their cars, but they make them in slow motion compared to Atlanta. So like I feel like I'm watching someone go involuntary suicidal with their car, but I feel like I'm watching them in slow motion. So that part's nice. It's like 15 is the major interstate that runs through town. It is what it is. Like a lot of stuff is south of the city proper. Like the city proper has the Delta Center that is going to house the Mammoths and the Jazz, which the Jazz are god awful and probably going to be worse this year. Like dragging Ace Bailey here against his will isn't going to help. But like Rio Tinto's and Sandy, so it's like 15 minutes south of there.
Okay,
10-15 minutes south of there. Yeah, it's not bad.
too bad.
No, and again, the nice thing that I have found here that I've enjoyed is all the covered parking. Like even in my office, there's covered parking. It's great, and it's not like a parking deck, but like they're like parking covers with solar panels on top. So like you just park the car in the shade.
Wow,
Not a problem. Great. Told my boss back in Atlanta, I'm like, hey, y'all should put these in the Atlanta office because uh, it's hot. It's hot where you are too. You would
Mhm.
probably enjoy this. Um, but yeah, man, but it is what it is. It's nice. It's fine.
Yes.
I'm waiting for fall and winter to get here for it to be a little more chilled.
Yeah, that's when it comes back to get you.
Yeah, man, because like right now in the mornings, like I got up at 7 this morning local time.
9 hour
Um,
time.
yeah, but it was like 60 degrees outside,
Oh wow.
and like it's a dry 60. It's chilly, feels good. But I think it's getting up to like 94 today. It's like the delta is vast.
Yes.
Uh, anyway, I digress.
Yes.
Atlanta last weekend, man, it's just a flawed team that makes mistakes at the worst time and gets punished by them. I don't know how to create a combination of words that tell you that because we've talked about that for years now
All right.
because
Yeah.
that's what they are.
Yes.
Like they played a solid game on the road against a bad Montreal team. Um, Tristan Muyamba has a really bad first half.
Mm-hmm. And was
Switches
summarily
off,
removed. Yes.
and you give up a goal. Um, yeah, yeah, Dell. I think unless something really weird happens, they're letting Diala finish the season. This is
Yeah.
again therapy words.
And I think that you
I
would not
think
have
this is
invested
not an
in players like Barakal and especially Steven Alzate, who played for Ronnie Dyla at Standard Liège, if you did not have and signing them to long-term deals, if you did not have that innate faith in what Ronnie Dyla was going to be doing.
this to use our therapy words. This is not an I know thing, but this is an I feel thing. I feel like yeah, you make those moves knowing he's here for the end of the year.
Mm.
If that doesn't happen, then I think something went unaccording to plan if
Mm-hmm.
he's not here at the end of the season. You don't have to like that, and given how the season went, get that. But you brought in pieces and you brought in a guy he's familiar with into that midfield.
Right.
I, I expect him to be here, and if he's not, then something went not according to plan,
Yeah.
and then you are in an entirely different and still messy situation
Mm-hmm.
because then you're replacing a coach again, and I think they don't want to have to go get another new coach for another season. I still feel like some of the moves you saw, even going out, was cleaning out that locker room some.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, this is not an I know thing. This is an I feel or an I think thing that you
Right.
were cleaning out personalities from that locker room, and this offseason you will continue to do so. Obviously, you can't blow the entire locker room apart in a summer
No.
window because
But
then
you do. Yeah.
you would have no one to play. You were already thin in Leagues Cup, but no, I think they are. I think he is going to be here through the end of the season.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you are annoyed or upset by that, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I'm not going to tell you that you're not justified in being frustrated about it all, because it's been a shit year.
Yeah.
So, is what it is.
Yeah. The question from Dell about Goose. There were going into the secondary transfer window 15 decisions that had to be made, or that by the end of the calendar year. Brad
Mhm.
is one of them. Dell wants to know: is this Goose's last season?
I I don't know. I hope it is because at last check, Goose is settled into Atlanta. Like I think he lives in Smyrna. Um, he's got a family. I think he's got 3 kids, 4 kids, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got the whole family living in Metro Atlanta. He's also what 40 now, 41.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know where he would do it, but I think if Goose wanted to do like get into broadcast in some way, shape, or form, I think he could. It would simplify your life, I think, if he hung them up. after this year.
But then the question is Jaden, are you ready to hand over the keys to Jaden
I
Hibbert
am.
time?
And if not, I'm not handing the keys directly to Jaden. First of all, I am breaking the pool cue, putting it on the table, and telling him and Cohen and John Ransom too.
Yeah.
I'm putting the pool cue down and telling them that we're gonna have tryouts, and one of y'all can go figure it out. You want a weird one, John?
Hit me.
There were rumors that Miami might be willing to move off.
That yes.
If you don't think Cohen or Jaden are ready to be that everyday guy for 40 games,
yeah,
I don't know how much you'd have to pay Calendar.
Okay, well let's find
but
out. Let's find out, shall we?
you know, Drake Calendar might be available in a trade.
Yeah.
I would be fine if I take it into preseason, and if Jaden earns that job, I would be fine with that. I have zero problem with that. I'm not handing it to him outright because I'm not gonna deny Josh Cohen or John Ransom or anyone else the chance to win that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not in the business of telling a guy I'm not giving him the Will Muschamp at Texas coach in waiting award.
Right.
So he's gonna have to go earn it. I think he could absolutely earn it. I would be interested if it's Brad's last year, and it would simplify things. Because the thing is, like, if Brad wants to keep playing, I really do want to see if one of these other guys can be a long-term solution.
Yeah.
But I also I would want to do right by Brad. You know, you don't want to push him out the door.
Right.
And again, his family is settled in Atlanta. He's been here for a long ass time now, like 8 years. Again, that's a long time for your family to put down roots, especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
Like that is, I can tell you that as someone who had a kid who was born in 2017, that is birth up to 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And if you already had pre-existing kids, that could be going through elementary and middle school into high school very, very easily. It's the same conversation we have, hello, Rich, wherever you are, about Jim Curtin. You know, would Jim Curtin take a job somewhere else other than that northeastern corridor when he's got kids who are trying to finish school?
Right.
So I would, the long and short of it, I would be cool if I would be happy to attend the cold watch ceremony for Brad if Brad hangs him up after this year, and it'd simplify knowing what you have to do going into next year. But it's also for him to decide. And Brad is a psychopath. He is going to try and play until he thinks he can't anymore. Now, I mean, the man's been out there playing with a busted cheekbone that he had repaired. But he's going to keep going.
Yeah. And to answer your Drake Calendar question, sir.
Yes.
It is. This is the last contract year that he has with Messi and Friends. There is an option for next season. His compensation package, literally, and I don't know why this is. His base salary is $4 underneath $400,000. That sounds like an AM negotiation.
That's that's a.
That's like you got to fill this.
That's manipulating the roster in a legal way.
Yeah, that's fine. We got to figure out this ish under the cap. So Drake, you're going to make $399,996,000 base with a guaranteed comp of $455,913. So it's navigable. And Miami has to decide with Ustari and Rocco Rios Novo and anybody else, do they want to pick up the option year on Drake? And then, since they would be in control of the asset, try to flip him and get something for him. That might be the bigger question.
So in that therein raises one of the questions for Atlanta. It has been a talking point for a number of years, and I feel like anytime Atlanta gives up a goal, the Brad Guzan conversation comes up, which
course.
Atlanta has given up a lot of goals. So therefore, the conversation has come up a
Check.
lot.
Yes.
Of is it time to move off Brad? Like, I mean, the man still I think he still is making he's in that Brad Stuver category now, where he's making a lot of saves because he's in the shooting gallery.
Yeah.
And he's still a functional goalkeeper. Brad's worst year here, by my recollection, was 23. And that was when he was coming off of the Achilles injury.
Right.
It took him a year to really come back and be that guy because he was really good last year. And I think he's been fine this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been really good, in fact. Again, he's in a shooting gallery. He's having to make way more saves than you are comfortable with your goalkeeper making every game. This is the Tim Howard Belgium thing of he made so many saves.
Yes.
Like,
well, you want to know why?
Yeah, like what if he didn't have to though?
Mm-hmm.
That would be swell if he didn't have to do
it would
that.
be swell.
But the question always is about his salary. And if you go out and get a Drake Calendar, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. If you go give this to a Jaden Hibbert, if he goes out and earns this, let me rephrase that. If Jaden Hibbert goes and earns a starting spot going into 2026, it's going to be in a lower number. And that means you free up money elsewhere. Now, maybe that means you move on from Josh Cohen as your backup because he becomes an expensive backup.
Yes.
And maybe you figure out how you want to arrange your goalkeeping setup differently. But you would save money if you do all that.
Yes.
That is something that you can potentially do.
To answer your Brad question really quickly, he's 5th in the league in saves at 84.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need that. Because your defense hasn't been up to par, and it's been different pieces. It's been the fact that Stian Gregerson, really solid when he's on the field. God, what game was that? A couple of games ago, notwithstanding, where he basically misread a bounds and screwed you over. But Stian can't stay on the field consistently. Derek Williams is in basically a shoot match with Father Time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're incorporating new guys, and you've moved your homegrowns off on loans and sales to free up spots and free up money so that you can go overhaul this roster. Right. So you are in a tough spot in that respect in the way your defense plays. Which I'm fine with because the defense as constructed wasn't doing the job anyway, so you might as well go try and make it better. And it's like, oh, wow, the defense is like really bad right now. Yeah, it was bad when it was healthy. So I'm fine with the idea of it being bad in a different way in the short term, in the hopes that maybe you make it better in the long term. So
okay, so here's your rundown of the decisions that have to be made.
I think we've done this before.
I know. Fast Eddie got pulled off the board, so his contract was through 25, option 26.
Hey man, he wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if you don't want to be here, I'll find someone who does.
Mm-hmm.
And it really seemed like he was itching to move, posting pictures and different kids and whatnot. I'm like, man, I need you to read the room.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to be that, like, kind of stubborn about it and that blatant about it, if you're going to be that overt about it, we'll figure something out. We gave you had a loan in the past, and it to defense. It was DCR, and it went so badly that Atlanta got put between a rock and a hard place to take him back.
Yes.
Early and put themselves in U22 hell.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And now
but you go off, buddy.
Yeah. Right now, U22 slots are all wide open. You've got you're signing homegrown. So you get the 3, so you've got some wiggle room there with your So
you can get creative with it too, and use you could put Jay in a U22 spot next year, and it really knocks down his potential salary, and you could lock him into a U22 spot for I think 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's a
So
3.
you could have somebody go through the process of being a homegrown, kick them into and if it's a guy like Jay who was a difference maker before Saudi Arabia broke him,
Stupid Bernard.
then you could have them on a homegrown. If they prove to be a true difference maker for your squad, kick them into a U22 spot for 3 or 4 years, and yeah, they'll make more money, but it won't hit your salary cap the same way, and it's not a bad way to do business. But you also have multiple U22 spots open, and I would love to see them fill them, but I also am very curious because it's this weird balance right now where nobody wants them to populate this roster without a head coach that they feel confident about.
Right.
No one feels confident among the fan base of Ronnie Dialer right now. Ronnie's staying at least to the end of the year, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's just my opinion because of the moves you've made. But you also want them to fill the U22 spots. So which one is it?
Yes.
Like, do you want them to fill the U22 spots with a coach that you don't think is the right guy and shouldn't be here through the end of the year, much less going into 2026?
Mm-hmm.
Because that completely flies in the face of everything else you're bitching about with the roster construction. Like, don't tell me you want to bring in DPs and do all these things, or you don't want to do that without having the head coach that you're comfortable with, and then complain about the U22 spots not being filled with a head coach that you don't like. I'm begging you for just a little bit of consistency on that regard. I'm fine leaving them open right now because if you are not sure what's going to happen, then wait and see.
You can navigate that with the homegrowns that you have on hand, or if you want to bring in a higher price U22, you can slide them in over there.
Yeah, I'll put Jay in one of them if I need to, and then go into next year, see what everything looks like after this season, and then figure them out.
Yes.
And then if you need to figure them out next summer, figure them out next summer, but make sure that you are comfortable with your coaching situation, with your entire management situation before you start filling those out.
And Del, to answer your question,
you didn't do that with Alexei Maranchuk. You
Yeah.
brought in Alexei Maranchuk last summer, and people were cross about it because you didn't have a permanent head coach. You weren't sure how it was going to fit. But now you want to do the same thing when you sure as hell are screaming to the heavens about getting rid of the manager who is here right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Yes. No, you're good.
Go answer Dell's question.
Del, to answer your question, Brad is in a gaggle with John Pulskamp and Martin Paz. Right now, Brad is second. Pulskamp is first. Brad is second. And Martin Paz is third. They're all kind of like in a little group at 1, 2, and 3. Then the chase pack happens behind them. Decisions for Atlanta United outside of who has already been moved. Brooks has an option year for 26.
No, thank you.
And his price point is probably too high. Jamal,
no. I think Brooks has been at many times in his Atlanta United career unfairly maligned. Given what you are paying him and given the connection that you have on the right side in the short term of Ronald Hernandez and Miguel Almiron, I'm moving on for Brooks for what I'm paying him versus what I'm getting. Like I said, I think he has been unfairly maligned, and I wish that dude nothing but the best.
Yeah.
And I think he will find a place in this league that works very well for him. And I think he can thrive. I do not want to pay him what he is going to command in this roster right now.
Yeah.
And it is, again, I think he's been unfairly shat upon in the past in this fan base. But I know I think it was he mentioned, he and his agent were having discussions about an extension. Like, unless that number is way down, I don't want to do it.
And to answer that question for folks, it right now is $740. That is his base and his comp. So $740,000 right now.
I cannot. I can't. In a
Mm-mm.
capped league, I can't have my right back making that much when right now I'm not even putting him on the field consistently in his starting spot.
Yeah.
Because Ronald Hernandez's chemistry has been just better with Miguel Almiron.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm paying you that much, like I need it. I need you to be out there. I need to be able to put you out there and not have to worry. And right now I have to worry.
Ronald's right now, just so everybody knows, Ronald is in an option year through this season, option year for 26. His guaranteed comp is 290.
I'll keep Ronald here as long as he wants to stay here.
Yes.
Because I will, if I move on from Brooks, I'll go find another right back, and
Mm-hmm.
I will keep Ronald as my utility back.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means he starts consistently, fine.
Mm-hmm.
If that means someone comes in, takes the spot from him, fine. But I'll keep Ronald here as long as he wants to stay here.
Let's see. Jamal has an option year for 26. Josh has an option year for 26. Brad is out of contract. We mentioned
Jamal's making way too much money for a guy made out of glass.
Yeah.
And I talked about this before. Like I think Jamal
$730 by the way.
There is an MLS striker in there, like a starting MLS striker in there, but the man is made of Fabergé.
Mm-hmm.
If his ligaments were not made of hopes and dreams and cotton candy, and his muscles were not made of hopes and dreams and cotton candy, Jamal could start, I think, for a few teams in this league.
Yeah.
But that's a big number for a guy who he'll give you goals.
Mm-hmm. But goals.
He is also going to have. Oh my God, what was it? I don't know if some of y'all might be too young for this because I was too young for this. It didn't stop me from going to Mike
doing a Bridge Nelson reference at the end of the year anyway. It's all good.
Just doing a I don't know if anybody ever went to Mike and Angelo's in Buckhead back before Buckhead was, turned into Rodeo Drive of the South by a con artist. Yeah. But M&A's had the goal had the plated names on the bar stools.
Yeah.
Jamal's has that in the training room.
Yes.
And I cannot pay you almost $750,000 if you're staying on the injury list. If you are having deeper conversations with the training staff than you are with anyone else because you're there so often, I struggle to pay you almost $750,000.
Derek is option year for 26, making just under $500,000 total. Matt Edwards in your supplementals. Matt Edwards is in end of a deal, option years 26 and 27. Jay has an option for 26. Jaden has an option years for 6, 7, and 8. Will has option years for 6, 7, and 8, and Togashi has an option for 26. So that's
what do we have? 9 games left in the season? 10 games left in the season? Something like that?
9, yes, 9.
Again, break the poll queue, put it on the table between Togashi and Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see tryouts.
Well, but I mean, Cayman is making 104. He's making the league vet minimum.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because if he can give me, and because he worked his ass off in preseason, he's been phenomenal with the twos when he's been down with them, which is as expected. To be honest, he's a 31-year-old striker.
Yeah.
Even if he gets a raise, let's say you double him to 200,000.
Sure,
that's fine. If he can give me goals, that can be my backup. Because he'll run his ass off. He will damn near kill himself for a goal, and I say that in a complimentary fashion.
Absolutely. I mean,
if Cayman can give me productivity, I will happily shake Jamal's hand and thank him for everything he has done.
Yes, thank you, Jamal.
Or negotiate a slight reduction in salary because it's just a lot of money to pay for a backup. but also a backup who's been getting starts because your $22 million striker cannot hit water falling out of a boat consistently.
Yes.
And that's never okay.
No, it's not. So that's what you're looking at with Atlanta and who's doing what where. Toronto has acquired $175,000 in GAM from Charlotte FC in exchange for a 2025 international roster slot.
Probably
So
helps out with Jordy.
Yeah. So so that's where you're. So Charlotte has slipped into Toronto's DMs and has picked up $175,000 in Garber bucks. So that just came across.
Yeah, it's fine. It gives them international slot because also Charlotte is heavily linked to making a move for a Australian striker.
Yes, the $2 million striker from, was it Adelaide, I believe?
Believe so. Also, this factors into it as well. Apparently, the A-League is in a rough shape financially.
Yes, that is true.
So I wouldn't be I don't know if they'll be the only MLS team. Wouldn't be surprised if we see more teams go fishing in Australia.
Yes.
Just because the A-League teams are in a bad way right now.
Yes.
And the A-League itself is in kind of a bad way right now. So if you wanted to go get somebody for maybe less than they are worth on the transfer market, might not be a bad time to go shopping down under.
Yes. So yes, look for the underappreciated assets. Archie Goodwin is the individual.
Yeah. And good on Charlotte for recognizing a market that is kind of distressed right now.
Mm-hmm. Archie Goodwin, and according to Tommy Scoops, nearing a deal. Youth international forward, Adelaide United, Newcastle Herald. First report fee around $2 million. 20 goals in his first 2,650 first team minutes with Adelaide United of the A-League. So that's that particular deal that was discussed and or considered one way or the other. So
what kind of fish? It depends. It could be rock bass. If this goes south, it could be some swordfish, and they could catch themselves some mercury poisoning. We don't know. We have to wait and see what this kid does. And sometimes stuff takes a while to come good. Because go look at Nashville. Sam Surridge struggled to find a consistent.
That might, Joe, it might have to do with her predecessor.
But God bless Gary, super nice guy. Good, very good dude. Sam Surridge struggled to find his footing in Nashville. Sam Surridge might win a Golden Boot this year under PG Callahan.
Yeah.
Alexei Miranchuk struggled to find his footing, and ever since I think he went back to being the kind of the 10 here after the I guess let's call it 2/5 of the way through the season.
Yeah.
The performances have ramped the absolute hell up. And maybe it's a matter of comfort. Guys don't always hit the ground running. I think Alexei's finding his comfort level and is producing chances for Atlanta. Now, again, Atlanta cannot consistently hit a bull in the ass with a bass fiddle with a ball at their foot in front of goal, which is bad because you paid one guy $20 million for him to come in and do just that, and he has not done it.
And you're paying him $4 million a year to not do it.
And then your wingers have also not consistently done it. So Alexei has kind of grabbed the gauntlet and said, "Fine, I'll do it myself," more than once. But sometimes guys just take time to get comfortable.
Yeah.
We all wish everybody would score on their debut and find comfort immediately, and sadly it doesn't always happen that way. And sadly you got to find the right chemistry sometimes. I think Nashville's found that for Surridge. And Hani Mukhtar kind of having a revolutionary
it's amazing what happens when folks don't have to pay attention to you and you alone 24/7, 365.
Honestly, that's why I thought Saba would have a really good year. And yeah, he's had assists, but I thought the goals would come too because of just that that he wasn't going to be the focal point in this offense, and that he could, be that third man in the 3-man weave and benefit from it. And buddy, when I say that hasn't happened, I'm underselling the hell out of it.
Anyway. Yeah, but at the same time, though, we have also seen Saba kick it into another gear recently as well.
We have, but that's why I wanted him for that role, is because God love Saba. He is not, and we talked about this last year. Saba is not. He is not the. He's not a number one. I think he can be a number one in stretches, like he was last year for the team, at the end of the season, where he got hot. But he is a guy who runs hot and cold, and I love having that for a guy who is my third option.
Yeah, I think Saba to me is and can be a very influential guy. He can be a guy. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the guy, but you can tell when he puts the pressure on himself.
Let him be my Chris Bosh. I'm not asking him to be my number one. I am asking him to be part of a triumvirate. And the rest of that triumvirate has also dropped the ball this year. So it's not just a Saba. This is not a dump on Saba hour. This is not a Saba has failed and Saba sucks and what the hell is he doing while everyone else is doing great. No, the entire trident has failed you at the top of the attack.
Yes.
And it's just now you're just hammering out these last 10 games or so, and you're seeing who can give you what. And I think we saw that, and I think we saw some of it with Trust the other day, when Tristan's having a terrible game.
Yeah.
And you put Will out there 45 minutes. Said, go make something happen, kid. Alzate will be that guy as well when he gets opportunities.
Right.
Cooper Sanchez is trying to force the issue.
Yes, he is.
He has just absolutely lapping people
Uh-huh.
and doing exactly what you're supposed to do, which is when you're an MLS Next Pro as a homegrown, okay, you're getting games. Okay, now I need you to be in a situation where you're dominating games consistently. He is. Okay, that's the next step. Okay, the next step after that is to start getting more games with the first team and keep dominating when you're in the game with the twos. And I think that is where we're getting to with him. He'll keep getting games with the twos. He'll consistently be an absolute problem.
Yes.
I think Luke is finding that. And then Luke, I thought, struggled with taking over games for the twos, but has looked so much more comfortable with the first team in the last few times we've seen him. So we'll see.
Yes.
Anyway,
that's.
I realize we're in stoppage time on stoppage.
Well, but remember also that I screwed up the first 5 minutes of the show because I was trying to find my audio output.
Okay. Well, so ultimately, my whole thing was the game last week was hard to watch because Montreal makes it hard to watch. Like they're in a full rebuild, and this is and before everyone loses their minds because we're talking about the age of teams. Yeah, Montreal is like average age was like 23. I'm like, yes, correct. Because they're rebuilding.
Yes.
And they're doing a full tear down. Like Montreal's teardown is legitimately like they've gotten rid of everything that had age and value and have taken this thing down to the studs, and some of the studs have been replaced.
Yes.
Whereas Atlanta has tried to retool what they thought was going to work coming into the season. So that's kind of how it works when you do a full, like, especially when you're not spending, like Joe Saputo is not going to spend. When you have to do a rebuild like that, you're going to be running a ton of kids out there. That is just part of the equation.
Yes.
And that's just how it works. And right now, Montreal is just trying to get through the end of the season. Pour one out for the Montreal fans, who are still some of my favorite away day fans I've ever experienced.
That is one of the most underrated and underappreciated game day setups is at the Stade Saputo.
It is. But they're not necessarily going to make it fun to watch. And if you fall asleep and give them that first goal, they're really not going to make it fun to watch.
No, we're gonna kind of sit here and go, yeah, we're cool, and put all the energy on you to try to chase after equalizers.
Look, that is their right to get the lead and then just drag the game into the shallow, rocky water and beat your head against the submerged rocks.
Absolutely true.
and they are under no obligation to play a beautiful game in that situation, because they are looking for any light at the end of the tunnel, whether that's real light from the outside or whether that's just like a false light bouncing off the rocks and the phosphorus. They're going to do whatever they can. So,
Yes.
and then you have to try and play against that, and then
Good
it
luck.
gets messy and chaotic, and then you have to find a late goal to equalize, and also a lot of that goal, and to break the adage out of goals change games.
Yes,
they do.
There you go.
But you know what else would help in that vein? If your striker could finish an open shot.
Well,
because
I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, if you're talking about the turnover, Ephra, I mean, it was a tight angle.
I paid $20 plus million.
Yeah, and he's getting,
for
like I
you
said,
to put that away. You were in a situation where your offense does not create chances consistently for you. At the risk of sounding harsh, if I'm paying you that much money, I know I'm not generating a ton of chances for you.
Yeah.
You have to put away the ones you get. And it has not been happening.
No.
And that's a different game if he puts it away. A number of games are different if he puts those chances away.
Yeah, and there was a chance in the fourth minute too.
It does not mean that everything's a bust and you sell him for a huge loss yet. But he has not consistently put the ball in the back of the net the way that you needed him to. And especially when you were struggling, and you will take anything to get those early advantages, especially against a team like Montreal that doesn't really have an interest in playing and is, again, going to drag you into the shallows and beat your head against the rocks.
Yes.
When you get those opportunities on the road, and I know it's not a tap in.
No.
But it's a goal that a $4 million striker puts away.
Right. And like I said, there was a chance in the fourth minute also where I think it was he and Miggy combined. And I think that was another early opportunity that could have benefited Atlanta United as well. So I know that everyone looks at that turnover from Ephra and the shot and the angle that Juliet created.
Well, it's also the kind of gift that Atlanta's gotten punished for all year. That Atlanta has made those mistakes at the back.
Yes,
punished for them. Atlantic benefits from a mistake like that, and instead you roll it wide.
Yes.
It's a nice little microcosm of the whole season. But you have to put it away. You can you can talk about the angle all you want, but if I'm paying a guy that much money, he has to put that away. He has to.
Yeah.
Because it changes the entire tenor of that game.
Absolutely it does, especially with the 14th minute or what have you.
Yeah.
Okay, so before you get out of here, and thank you, Jordan, for clarifying that it was the San Jose match with Timothy Ford. Seattle beats LAG 4-0. Purple Team beat Messi and Friends 4-1. Charlotte beat Cincinnati 1-0. Colorado, we talked to Kacey White in hour number 1 about that one because she had that one with Evan Weston. Okay. Red Bulls beat RSL. Quakes beat
controversial game.
Woo, boy. Yeah, we got into that with Bart.
That was some officiating. The fact, so I didn't realize it till later.
Yeah.
The fact that on the Duncan red card that was given by VAR,
yes,
the AR watched it happen and got it right. If you go back and watch it, the AR raises his flag and whistles it as a foul in favor of RSL because Duncan grabs Diego Luna by the
headlock.
Yeah, he basically headlocks Diego Luna, puts him in a dragon sleeper.
Yeah.
And pulls him down trying to sell the foul to get Luna a second yellow. The AR, it's happening right in front of the AR. AR raises his flag and points the other way. It's like, that's a foul on Red Bulls. The head official, who is 30 yards away, comes over, ignores his AR, and gives the yellow card to Diego Luna. And then isn't taking that yellow card away, and VAR won't overturn that yellow card. Yep. So he turns, and then VAR comes down in his ear and is like, what the hell are you doing? Because it's not your job. Because if you were, you would have recognized that you should have listened to your AR and not tried to override a situation that you didn't see as clearly. Because then you end up with a game that's 10v10 and then a soft penalty at the end. But if it's 10v11 going the other way,
once again,
the game changes And that's, to me, man, that's just arrogance from an official who had no reason to be arrogant in that moment. Your AR's telling you what he saw right in front of him, and you're coming over and telling him you know what you saw, and then you get it so wrong that they have to call down and have VAR actually go give the appropriate cards. Because now RSL's got to burn a appeal to get this overturned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they'll appeal it
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
Luna into the game this week.
yeah.
But man, you impacted that game. You impacted the game for two teams that are fighting for playoff spots because you didn't do your job.
Yeah,
The end.
we got into that discussion also.
I know. I meant to jump on. I wasn't able
Hey,
to.
I
I
mean,
wanted to go
oh,
come
good.
yell with
Hey, it's
Bart
perfectly
about
fine.
it.
Absolutely. San Jose beat Vancouver. San Diego over Sporting.
Vancouver hates the refs too.
Yeah, well, that's
Everybody
the whole.
hates. Everybody hates pro.
That's the Timothy Ford situation that people were trying to get into. San Diego winner, Austin Houston draw, Chicago and LAFC draw. Yeonmin Son draws a penalty that was picked out by VAR, and Carlos Terán wanted to fight about 19 different people, including the officials. FCD shuts out Portland. All caps in the surprise of the weekend, beats Nashville 3-1. Revs
Nashville
2-0
didn't look good in that game at all. They just looked like they were sleepy.
Yeah, and then Philly and Toronto drew at 1. What else sticks in your mind from the weekend?
Just the failings of pro. No, honestly, like.
I know.
I know. It's usually a thing where we're discussing the game that happened in front of us, but a number of games this weekend that were, frankly, impacted or ruined by bad officiating communication. I look forward to seeing what Pro puts out this weekend with their video review, because so often they have absolutely eschewed any transparency on it. Either, they've gone over some of them where they'll put them in print and talk about them instead of just giving us the whole audio file so we can hear them go through the process. And anytime I feel like it's going to really make someone the horse's ass, they don't do that. And they're going to protect their guys who continue to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Now, officiating assignments are made a long time in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of these cats need to be the fourth for a while.
Yeah.
Because true. some of the calls you saw this weekend that impacted games were that can't happen. It can't.
No.
Especially as America embraces more and more inner game gambling and daily fantasy sports and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
As more and more money gets spent on gambling with this stuff, you cannot have that level of incompetence. Because that's not going to go over well with the general public at all.
No. Especially with, you mentioned DFS. That's going to be something that really is going to be an issue of the whole thing. Yeah. So, all right. Let me go through gossip, rumor, and innuendo and what to watch. And when are you coming back?
Good question.
Okay. Well, tomorrow at 10:45 after practice, we got Jose Silva from the Twos. He's going to come by and let everybody know what's going on. And we are chasing 3 other guests for the remainder of the week, including seeing if we can catch up with our friends from the Marshall Islands on Match Day Thursday. Match Day first ever. Marty Jellamy and Matt Pollard from Burgundy Wave also on the hit list, trying to just figure out times and things like that. So that's the remainder of the week as we sit here and we watch AFCON on BN, which you can get at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccerdown.
All right. Well, I'll see you.
All right. Be good, my friend. We'll see you soon. There goes Jarrett. All right. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Now I know we are in stoppage time. And I apologize ahead of time. When this rolls over to YouTube, the first 6 minutes will be silent. Just shuttle through it and get to the actual show. Alexander Isak is adamant he will not play at Newcastle again. We'll get into that in a second. Ilya Zabarny completed his PSG transfer. Tottenham has approached Manchester City over Savinho, Everton has agreed on the Grealish move. Nottingham Forest is close to a deal with City on James McAtee. Chelsea's Christopher Nkunku is open to a Leipzig return. Looks like Liverpool might be chasing Mark Gahey. Lost out on Gerald Kwanzaa to Bayer Leverkusen. Also, it appears, according to David Ornstein et al., that Liverpool also interested in Parma center back Giovanni Leone, trying to persuade the defender to move to Anfield this summer. Liverpool holding talks with Gahey at Crystal Palace. Pursued by Newcastle last summer, Palace rejected 4 offers, final bid being worth up to £65 million, including add-ons. Steve Parish said after Community Shield, Gahey could have to be sold this summer. Maximize the value of the asset. Do that right now. Omar Alderete is moving to Sunderland. That is confirmed as of 26 minutes ago. Guillermo Rai at The Athletic. 28-year-old joins newly promoted league club after 2 sides agreed to a deal worth 10.4, and these are all pounds unless I tell you otherwise. Further, $1 million in add-ons. 11th signing of the summer transfer window for Sunderland. 3 goals and 27 appearances for the Paraguayan national team. Derby's launching a bid for Blackburn's captain Lewis Travis. 27-year-old has entered the final year of his deal. Talks over a new deal stalled. Derby trying to pounce at $1.5 million. Rams coach John Eustace managed Travis during his time at Blackburn. Blackburn want to keep their best players at the club, but will consider offers if they meet valuation. Also, Isak, and we mentioned Alexander Isak and his commitment to the project. Oliver Glasner called for at least 2 more signings after a passive window at Crystal Palace. We told you, we read through Steve Parish's statement to get you through what happened early on. Eze is also now apparently being looked at by other folks, and so we'll get into that coming up here in just a second. We'll check in with our buddy Glenn Jacobs and see how fired up Ben is this morning, as he traditionally will have like 9 gazillion things going on. And so we will look at Jacobs Ben on the Twitters, which is a mandatory follow, especially for a lot of stuff going on overseas. Oh, hang on, let me hydrate here for a second. Nothing like having to navigate your headset. Sorry about that. Okay. Thomas Frank on why Yves Bissouma was left out of the Super Cup final. Says he's been late several times. Now, this latest time was one too many. Need to be demands and consequences. This time there was a consequence. Liverpool's main defensive targets, we mentioned, Gahey and Leone. Both could arrive under the right circumstances, especially with Ibrahima Konate's long-term future unclear and Gerald Kwanzaa being lost to Bayern. We talked about that. Liverpool chosen to engage with Crystal Palace first out of respect to and due to their strong relationship with Steve Parish. Formal advanced player talks not expected to happen without a club-to-club agreement. Let's see. Gahey, Liverpool's priorities trying to find an 18 to 22 profile, but a pivot to Gahey in addition is down to the need for an EPL-ready defender this season, and the fact the market opportunity of less than $40 million is too good probably to turn down. And so Gianluigi Donnarumma is a target for Manchester City if Ederson leaves, according to Fabrice Hawkins. Donnarumma open to a Premier League move. PSG exit looking likely after he was left off the Super Cup squad. PSG want to sell now. We mentioned the club statement. We read the club statement this morning with Steve Parish. Johan Vissa expecting to leave Brentford before the window shuts. Newcastle remain keen. Brentford currently sourcing a new attacker. Understand advanced talks ongoing for Rennes' Arnaud Calimundo. Brentford is optimistic. Bournemouth's Dango Ouattara also remains possible. The Newcastle striker, Alexander Isak, this is Ben Jacobs' update. Newcastle striker will not change his position with the window open unless Liverpool inform him a move is impossible, as revealed yesterday. That hasn't happened. Liverpool still active. Jacobs understands Newcastle want clarity this week, with ownership now involved in several Isak-specific meetings. Liverpool prepared to bid at least 120 if they're offered encouragement. 110 viewed by Liverpool as competitive, followed, and it was all guaranteed. And it followed Newcastle indicating a bid would be engaged with. Instead, swiftly rejected. 150 as a number was not countered. Newcastle insiders suggested the 110 bid was low and done for optics. Liverpool still feel it was a starting point, informed by previous discussions. Isak's position is also informed by not being offered a new deal a year ago. Paul Mitchell decided to wait to Newcastle's PSR position last summer, and the fact Isak had 4 years left on his deal. Position backed up by Newcastle's owners. Isak was disappointed at the time. No one at Newcastle quite anticipated how forcibly he would try to leave, especially after UCL qualification. Sources say Isak had made up his mind before last season had ended. Eze to Spurs would also welcome an Arsenal bid, having spoken to Mikel Arteta already. Spurs are the ones moving. Arsenal waiting as it stands with outgoings the focus. Ethan Nwaneri also is viewed as a number 10. Let's see. What else are we missing in the international front? I think we're caught up. 5-year deal for Zabarny for 63 plus 3. That's in euro. And I think that catches us up on the European transfer side of things. So caught up on that. And the U.S. side of things, there was one signing in championship having to do with the U.S. YNT. And it was, where was it? Orange County signing U.S. YNT defender Tyson Espy, leaving LAFC's academy to join Orange County, looking to make a pro debut and eventually heading to Europe. Tani Oluwaseyi up for, there was a bid of $4 million from a top half La Liga club. Preston North End, Swansea City also want Oluwaseyi. Keep an eye on that. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and then we will bid you adieu. And yes, we went long on purpose today because of me being an idiot. All right, so what to watch. And reminder, Sunday night, once again, it's going to be Atlanta United 2, Crown Legacy from the Fraction. We'll have a pregame show for you and the broadcast from there. It'll be all of us there. I'll be coming back from Springdale, Arkansas, and probably in need of a nap. Tomorrow, Tyler, hopefully Dylan Butler, Jose Silva joining us at 10:45. Power Hour, Nino and Nico, Thursday, 10 and 10:30. Efforting those 3 guests that we were talking about. Marty Jellamy with the Unified, the Marshall Islands on match day. Matt Pollard, Burgundy Way for opposition research. That's what we're chasing for the remainder of the week. Let's see. Where's my soccer on TV today? Like I said, I'm watching right now AFCON going on, and it's on BN. So you have soccer on TV. It is Copa Libertadores tonight on BN, doubleheader 6 and 8:30, also simulcast on BN and Espanol. Bromley and Ipswich at 3 o'clock on the Leagues Cup. That's on CBS Sports Network. Aguila and Hercules at 10 o'clock Central American Cup on Fox Soccer Plus. Golazo Network League Cup, it is Watford and Norwich City. And Paramount Plus also on the Leagues Cup front. And you see the boss wandering in here, and she's dropping off because the rowdy man has made a point to go to the beach. And so that's where we are. League Cup, 5 matchups, 2:45 and 3 o'clock. And then on the women's side, Fox Deportes Liga MX Femenil, Tigres in Tijuana at 9 o'clock. And that's going to do it. 6 minutes in without any audio, and then finally figuring it out. And that's why we're going as long as we did. Thanks to all of you folks. Thanks to Kacey D and coming in to talk about everything going on NWSL and MLS with Colorado and Minnesota and getting you ready for the college season. She's going to be on the call with Jen Hildreth for Florida State and the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters from Gainesville. So we'll be back at it again, less than 22, to let you know what's going on here in the world of Topsail. And yes, that still is a water heater. That's the boss. She's going to wave. There you go. That's it on the video side. That's it for the audio side. Everything's going to be posting here in just a little bit. Since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. See you later.